the man impossible to kill. In the cold dawn of December 30th, 1916, in St. Petersburg, a man walked toward what he believed would be a dinner among friends. Grigory Rasputin, the mad monk who whispered in the ears of the Romanovs, had no idea he was about to star in one of history's most bizarre and controversial deaths. What began as a simple poisoning transformed into something that would challenge all laws of medicine and logic. But do we really know the truth about Rasputin's death? Or is there a much larger conspiracy hidden behind this official story? Today we're diving into the darkest mysteries of Imperial Russia, where power, politics, and occultism mix in deadly ways. Prepare to discover secrets that were buried alongside Russia's last Tsar. To understand why Rasputin had to die, we first need to comprehend the inexplicable power he wielded over the Russian imperial family. It wasn't just political influence. It was something much deeper and more disturbing. Rasputin had become indispensable to Tsarina Alexandra, not through charm or manipulation, but through something that seemed impossible. He could cure Tsarevich Alexei of his hemophilia crises. Hemophilia was the Russian court's best-kept secret. The heir to the throne, son of Tsar Nicholas II, suffered from a disease that could kill him at any moment. Any small wound could mean fatal hemorrhaging. The empire's best doctors could do nothing, but Rasputin had powers no one could explain. But here's the first great mystery. How exactly did Rasputin cure the boy? Some theories suggest hypnosis. Others speak of secret medical knowledge acquired during his travels through Siberia. But there's a third possibility, much more sinister. Rasputin knew exactly what the Tsarevich's problem was because he was involved in the very cause of the disease. Documents discovered in KGB secret archives decades later revealed something shocking. Rasputin maintained regular contact with German agents during World War I. Germany had direct interest in destabilizing Russia. And what better way to do this than control the throne's heir through his supposed miraculous cure? By 1916, the situation had become unsustainable. Russia was losing the war, people were starving, and at the center of it all was Rasputin, influencing every political decision through the Tsarina. But what few knew was that a conspiracy was forming in the shadows, and its members weren't who you'd imagine. Prince Felix Yusupov, one of Russia's wealthiest men, is traditionally pointed to as the conspiracy's leader. But recently discovered evidence suggests he was merely the public face of something much larger. The true mastermind behind the assassination was someone much more powerful. Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's own cousin. But why would an imperial family member want to kill Rasputin? The answer lies in a secret letter found in the Romanov family archives in 1991. In this letter, Dmitry reveals he discovered something terrible about Rasputin, something that could destroy not just the dynasty, but all of Russia. Rasputin wasn't just a mystical monk with healing powers. He was a German spy and had convinced the Tsarina to sabotage the Russian army itself. Worse still, he was planning to assassinate the Tsar and place Tsarevich Alexei on the throne, with himself as regent. It was a coup d'état disguised as religious mysticism. December 30th, 1916. Yusupov invites Rasputin to his mansion, claiming his wife wanted to meet him. It was an elaborate lie to lure the monk into a trap. But what happened that night defies any rational explanation. First, they tried to poison him with enough cyanide to kill 10 men. Rasputin ate the poisoned sweets and drank the adulterated wine as if it were water. He not only survived, he continued conversing normally, as if nothing had happened. The conspirators panicked. How was this possible? Desperate, Yusupov shot Rasputin in the chest. The monk fell, apparently dead, but when the conspirators approached to check the body, Rasputin opened his eyes and tried to strangle Yusupov. He managed to get up and flee to the courtyard. even with a bullet in his chest. That's when they shot him 2 more times. But it still wasn't the end. When they finally managed to subdue him, they discovered Rasputin was still breathing. In desperation, they tied him up and threw him in the Neva River, where he finally died, but not from drowning. The autopsy would reveal he died of hypothermia, meaning he was still alive when thrown into the icy water. How can a man survive mass poisoning, 3 point-blank shots, beating, and still remain alive long enough to die of cold in the water? The official explanation never made sense. But recent medical discoveries offer a terrifying possibility. In 2004, a British forensic doctor named Derek Pounder re-examined all medical evidence of Rasputin's death and reached a shocking conclusion. The story we know is a complete farce. Not only did Rasputin not die the way we were told, but there's evidence he may have been poisoned gradually for months before his death. Analysis of Rasputin's clothing, preserved in Russian archives, revealed traces of arsenic, not just on the night of his death, but accumulated over an extended period. Someone was trying to kill him slowly, and when that failed, they moved to more dramatic methods. But here's the most disturbing detail. The cyanide found in his stomach had been neutralized by an unknown substance. It was as if Rasputin knew he would be poisoned and had taken an antidote in advance. This suggests he not only knew about the conspiracy against his life, but was one step ahead of his enemies. How could a Siberian monk have access to sophisticated chemical antidotes in 1916? The only possible explanation is that he had much deeper and more dangerous connections than anyone imagined. Connections that reached German secret laboratories, where experiments with chemical weapons were being developed during the war. Here's where the story gets really sinister. Documents declassified by Soviet archives in 1991 revealed something that completely changed our understanding of events. Rasputin wasn't just a victim of conspiracy. He was part of a much larger conspiracy involving German agents, Bolshevik revolutionaries, and corrupt members of the imperial family itself. The goal wasn't just to kill Rasputin. It was to use his death as a catalyst to completely overthrow the Tsarist regime. And it worked perfectly. Less than 3 months after Rasputin's death, Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne, and the Russian Revolution began. But most shocking of all, evidence suggests Rasputin discovered the plan and attempted blackmail. He had compromising information about everyone involved, including proof that some imperial family members were secretly negotiating a separate peace with Germany, betraying their own allies in the war. This blackmail sealed his fate. They couldn't just kill him. They had to completely destroy his credibility, creating a narrative of bizarre and supernatural death that would divert attention from the true political issues involved. Rasputin's death wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. The consequences of his elimination echoed through Russian history in ways we still feel today. The 1917 revolution, the rise of the Bolsheviks, the brutal execution of the entire imperial family, all of this can be traced back to that fateful night in December 1916. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect is that the conspiracy's true masterminds were never discovered. Yusupov and his fellow conspirators were exiled but lived long, comfortable lives in Europe. Meanwhile, millions of Russians paid the ultimate price for the consequences of their actions. Recently, historians discovered that some conspirators maintained contact with Western intelligence agencies decades after Rasputin's death, suggesting the conspiracy had international ramifications much deeper than we ever imagined. More than a century later, Rasputin's death continues to be one of modern history's most fascinating and disturbing mysteries. Each new discovery in Russian archives reveals additional layers of conspiracy and deception, suggesting the complete truth may never be known. What we know for certain is that Grigory Rasputin was much more than a mystical monk with influence over an imperial family. He was a sophisticated player in a deadly geopolitical game where information was power and secrets were currency. And in the end, he knew too much to stay alive. Rasputin's story teaches us an important lesson about power, conspiracy, and the hidden forces that shape world history. In an era where conspiracy theories seem to be everywhere, it's important to remember that some conspiracies are real, and their consequences can change the course of entire civilizations. If you were fascinated by these obscure historical mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next dives into history's darkest secrets. And leave a like if you believe there's still truths about Rasputin waiting to be discovered. Until the next investigation.